Welcome to Beyond Time Signatures.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Hayden Deli.
I'm so glad to have you finally, because this is literally the first time that I'm hearing your voice, and I have known you for almost
Yes.
4 years. It's
Oh
so
shit,
weird.
it's been that long.
Yes, man. Yes, I
Oh
think
my
it
god.
was around lockdown. This is a funny story. So like I was looking for an Ibanez guitar because I had like a Strat and I wanted to shift to like something that was metal. And
Yeah,
you have that turquoise Ibanez, right?
it's right here.
Fuck yeah, yes. So like I was
Beautiful.
I was looking to buy this one, and I was looking for video reviews of people on YouTube,
Yeah,
but I wasn't finding anything. And then just one day in my Explore page there was you with that guitar, and I was like, hell yeah. I mean, like, if this his videos look good and like his guitar looks awesome, maybe I should buy that guitar. I didn't end up buying that guitar, but that's how
yeah.
I started following you.
But you know what? I love the look of your guitar, and I think it's so iconic for your videos now.
Oh, thank you, man. I would kind of agree, because like the whole the lighting and everything is like
Yeah,
uh
it's warm.
towards that Kelvin. So it makes sense to have
Yeah,
a guitar with the same finish. So like I'm also happy with that.
yeah,
But yeah,
nice.
that's how I got to know about you.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I've only just started like getting comfortable with talking on camera or to other people over video calls because I find it so awkward.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would agree. Like in like compared to in person stuff,
Yeah,
like having a chat over the video call has like some technical issues, and like even
yeah.
like the language stuff. But it's fine, because like we both can speak English very well. I mean, that's what I hope, that I can speak English very well, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can speak English perfectly, like better than most Australians, I'm sure.
Nah, but how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Worked this morning. Started work at 5 o'clock, and then had a family lunch at 2, and now I'm here.
Hell yeah,
So
hell yeah.
it's been busy, but I like those sort of days. You're always doing something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weekend and it's gonna
Yeah,
be chill, so that's nice.
yeah,
What I wanted to ask you was, um, how did you start playing guitar? Because I assume you have been playing for a while.
yeah. So this is actually a really good story. I think you'll like it. So I started playing when I was 6, and my older brother got a guitar for his birthday,
Okay.
and it was meant for him, and he never played it. So I was like, I want to play it. This is cool. And it came with a little like DVD, like instructional DVD for it. So I watched it on repeat and learned how to play when I was 6. And then when I was 7, on my 7th birthday, my mum finally let me take guitar lessons, and it's just been, yeah, just kept at it. Yeah,
That's nice. I mean, thanks to your brother for like not not playing.
yeah. I know if he actually played, who knows? I might never have picked it up.
Yeah, man. That's actually a really nice story. So like then I would assume that you started playing acoustic for a while, and like learning chords and like trying to
Yeah.
probably sing at the same time.
No, I was way too scared to sing.
Oh,
That's only been
really?
a recent thing. Yeah, recent development of me.
So like, what were you playing back then?
Um, I started with uh like Metallica.
Okay.
So like that's the first band that I actually got into after I learned like all the basic chords and basic rock riffs. Is like I learned about Metallica and started playing like The Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters, like just the
Okay.
classics, Enter the Sandman. And then yeah, eventually it went to Eric Johnson.
Oh, great choice.
Yeah, and a lot of my music taste came from Guitar Hero 3.
Oh, okay. So you are a Guitar Hero guy.
Yes, I
Sick,
played it.
sick.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So you had like the stick and everything. Do you still have that?
No, I got to get some, but they're so expensive now.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not in demand. Yeah, so it makes sense. I
yeah.
think they've made a version where you can connect your guitar and like actually play, with that as an interface.
Oh, true. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
Rocksmith or something?
Yeah, exactly. It's called Rocksmith.
Yeah,
Correct, correct. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I never got into Guitar Hero, but when I learned that a lot of people got into guitar from Guitar Hero. That's when I got like an emulator on my laptop,
Yeah,
and I started playing on like on the keyboard. But
yeah,
obviously, it wasn't the same feeling. But
nah,
I did give it a try, and like you can download and like make your own songs in Guitar Hero, which was pretty cool.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah. I mean, okay.
yeah.
And
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 some of
when
those
did
songs
you?
are,
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
sorry.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
some of those songs are just like iconic and like, yeah, I think like whenever I hear them, I'm like, oh, Guitar Hero. Like,
I think a lot of bands got famous because they were placed in Guitar Hero, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say like the early metalcore like bands. I'm not gonna name names because it's gonna be way off, but like the golden
Yeah,
era, like some of the bands from that era blew up because of Guitar Hero. So like and a lot more people got inspired like yourself
yeah, for sure.
to play guitar from Guitar Hero. What I wanted to ask you was like, when did you make the transition to an electric guitar?
Um, so it was probably around when I, oh, actually, yeah, it probably was when I was 9. I still have the guitar. It's actually right here. It's an old Epiphone. And
Is there a
it,
black one?
no, it's a red one. I
Ah,
don't think
okay,
I've ever, or I played it on my like very first few videos.
right,
I'll
I
grab
know.
it for you. This
Hell
one.
yeah. Yep. This is I've seen this one a lot. So like as a beginner guitar, like I would say like it's a great guitar.
It was so good and it lasted me so long as well. Um, but yeah, I I got that by busking, um, just like by busking and making money.
Damn.
And then, yeah, I was like, because I wanted an electric guitar, but my mom was like, well, if you go busk and make up half of the guitar, we'll pay for the other half. And I was like,
That's a
sounds
great
good.
deal, honestly.
Yeah. So I saw that one. I was like, yeah, that's the one I want. And
Yeah.
just
And
work
I,
for it.
and I think when even I started with an acoustic, so like when we make the transition from like an acoustic to an electric, the first thing that came to my mind was why the hell was I playing with such high action for so long? Like electric
Yeah.
guitar is so freaking easy. Why didn't I
I
start off
know.
with that?
I even like nowadays pick up an acoustic and it's like, it's so hard to play. Like, it's
Yeah, man.
just make it easy. Like, just, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, the nylon guys have all the fun, but
Yeah.
for people who want to play like resonant chords and stuff, they struggle the most. But yeah, okay. So that's how you started off with an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And were you like a riff guy in the beginning or a solo guy? I was personally a solo guy. So like I
Yeah.
started off with like rock music, especially like Queen and Beatles and AC/DC and stuff. And that's how I ventured into the Metallica realm and stuff like that. So like, how did you start off?
Yeah. It was probably more of a solo guy. I think I was a solo guy up until like maybe 5 years ago.
Ah, okay.
Um, yeah. And just love to shred and just, yeah, try and play the crazy solos that looking back now, I probably don't think they're that crazy.
But at
um,
that time,
at the time, I was like, oh, this is epic.
yeah, man, I would agree. I mean, when I first discovered bias effects, and there was like a preset for Comfortably Numb, and I was playing along with the Comfortably Numb backing track, and I felt like,
Yeah.
oh shit, it sounds like David Gilmour's in the room. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
So like
know.
that whole discovery of like, hey, I can replicate sounds, well, for like the favorite records from these plugins. Like that was like a big thing for me, and I think I've seen like you using neural DSP from like 2019, so like almost 5 years ago. So like, when
Yeah.
did you get into the digital space? Because obviously, like before that, you wouldn't have that, right?
Yeah, so it kind of all happened at once where I found out about Pliny in 2018 with like Kind.
Okay,
It's still my favorite song of his, but I found
that's
out
a
about
great song.
that. It's a great song. Found out about that, and then I started learning more about prog metal because I've never heard of it before, and then started wanting to learn like how to make guitar music like that. So went on um, YouTube, whatever, and I was just like, oh, this neural thing looks pretty cool. And then I saw they had a Pliny plugin. I was like, gotta get it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, so from there I was just like, I had no idea what I was doing recording wise, and then that plugin just made it so easy.
Yeah, for me as well. Like, when I got the Archetype Pliny, I had the best day. I still remember it was like July 2021. That's when I got
Yeah,
the plugin, and it like, changed my life. Uh,
yeah. It's
but
just
yeah, I mean, you
I
have
still use
everything
it
from
every
like
time.
same. It
Yeah,
has like, the rhythm thing sorted out for like, not so gent, like, it's like heavy, but it's not like the gent tone, like it's not a
yeah,
5150 replica. But yeah, it does a lot of things, like, it has crunchy, it has like
yeah,
cleans and stuff like that. And I think the reverb on the older Pliny was better, even though it was weird. So for example, if you like, turn the knob past 25%, it would
yeah,
act differently than it would, like, before 25%. So like it was more linear before 25, and like after 25 it just jumped to like a very high, like,
yeah,
wetness in my yeah. So
yeah.
that's
I did
that's what
notice
happened.
that. Like it kind of yeah, it definitely like filled up the room quicker with the mix
Right.
knob. Um as opposed to the new one, which I mean it has its benefits as well. Like you can kind of control how much you want a bit easier on the new one, but if you want that big atmosphere,
Sound.
like the old one's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used the new one, just because I don't like the UI, because it's so
Yeah.
demanded. Because like
It
the
is.
Pliny UI, the old Abasi UI, the old Nolly, like the old plugins, like they didn't have like round edges. I don't know what's the obsession like in general with companies, and like trying to downsize their branding and
Yeah.
logos and trying to add round edges. Like even YouTube for that matter, like the skip button is now round, which is cringe in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So cringe.
Yeah, man. So like that's totally for the, like, novelty purposes. I haven't, like, really used the newer one, even though some say that the newer one has the octaver and stuff. But hey, I can like just add an instance of Gojira before the Pliny amp and get the octaver. So like I don't really
Yeah.
feel the need, even though it's like a one step process. But like the way I feel, because like the one thing that we can't do digitally is like, turn the knobs and stuff. Like a lot of thing has been automated for us, and I think
Yeah.
us as guitar players, we like to fool around with knobs. We like to, like, press
Yeah,
buttons and
for
stuff.
sure.
So like if there is no, like, incentive for me to like visually look at a plugin, like why would I use a plugin even though it sounds great? But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. I get that a lot.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have noticed about your music in general is like you have been writing forever. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't like for personally me, I just started writing like actively since the second half of last year. Before that, it was more of like, chop building, like, memory building, and like, collecting tools to
Yeah.
write. But I think you took like a totally different approach from that. So can you walk me through like how did you do it, and what did you do it, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so for me, I've always found the most enjoyment in like writing. Like yeah, I could practice getting my riffs up to speed and work on my technique, but like I think I've found if I'm writing something that's challenging me in any sort of way, whether that's new chord voicings or right hand technique or anything, like it will get better. And that's just my personal experience. But yeah, I've always found it fun to just write. Like even when I started, um, I was writing like
All right.
writing songs with just four chords and just like rearranging them different. Like, how can I make it a different song while using the same four chords? And
Right.
yeah, it's just
Yeah, so like maybe trying to change up the rhythm a little bit, or maybe
yeah,
adding elements or subtracting elements from that.
exactly. Yeah. And
I
a
yeah.
lot of I think a lot of the music that I write is fairly similar in like how it's constructed where and I don't do it on purpose. But I think it's just how my brain thinks of stuff. Like it's very chorus, groovy section, chorus, breakdown, different section, ending or something like that. and
I
it's
see.
yeah, I don't mean for it to be like that, but that's kind of just how my brain's like, oh, that kind of just works.
Right. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
even like probably since you have written so much already, you might have inclinations that hey, I like this. I
Yeah.
want to do this a lot more than I would like to do this, or etc. etc. So like,
Yeah.
can you like just take any one of your songs which you think represents your style best, and can you just walk us through like the songwriting process of that?
All right. um,
But okay, before you do that, I would like to say like the EP with Amber Moon. Like
yeah.
personally for me, that was like like a killer EP,
Thank you.
because that represent. I mean, I have seen you since 2021 ish or 2020 ish, so like I know like your style and stuff, and that EP represents your style the best in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's gonna
Yeah.
be if so
I
like
would I would have to agree with that. I think like especially current me, I feel like that is very much my formula now. Where
okay. So what's the
yeah,
formula?
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
No, but like just take Amber Moon for example, or what was the song name with Ben's solo feature on it?
Oh shit, that was the first one, wasn't it? When the moon rises.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, can
Yeah.
you walk us through like the general construction of a song
Yeah.
like that?
So I guess I think broader picture because this Amber Moon was well, first I came up with the name and the idea before I came up with any of the songs.
Okay,
Um, so it was about when the moon rises, like, and the night is different from the day. So the first song, when the moon rises, it's got a different tone to the rest of the song. It's a bit more brighter, a bit more upbeat,
okay.
um, so a bit more sparkly. Whereas Amber Moon and what's the other one?
Look it up quickly.
Oh
It's your
shit!
discography, man. Come on.
One sec.
This is hilarious. I mean, I don't blame you, bro. Since you have written so much, it's easy to
No.
forget now.
Oh, when the moon rises is the second song. Sunset's the one that Ben's on.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense because like first you'll have the sunset and then the moon will rise, right? So
yeah. So sunset is the coming into the night where it's sparkly, happy, bright, groovy, upbeat, and then when the moon rises, an amber moon during the night. So it's a bit more creepy, a bit more atmospheric, dark toned, and then dawn is the dawn, like the sun's coming up again.
right,
And that's again a bit more funky, a bit more lighthearted. Like, oh yeah, we're in the daytime now.
yeah,
So in that sense, I've kind of laid out my theme, and then for sunset, I want it to be pretty magical because sunsets are beautiful.
right. I
Um,
would agree.
yeah, and then yeah, I just go from there. So I want it to be sparkly, bright, upbeat, and then I kind of just go through that and be like, well, how can I build it into a nice, beautiful section, and then drop it back, have it simmer a bit, and then go into an ending.
That's a great formula because like
Yeah,
you know what what used to happen to me back was like I would just write for the sake that hey, I have a cool riff, but what do I do with that? Where does it stand in a song? I would
yeah,
never take all of those things into account ever. So what ended up happening was I had a lot of riffs, but I didn't have an arrangement for that. But
yeah,
then what happened last year was I started writing intentionally. So for
yeah,
example, if I have like the riff from 25 hours, I knew that this has to be an intro riff because it's like it's calling that hey, look at me, I'm here now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That
exactly.
that sort of vibe. So I knew that I had to make that the main riff, and like then just reconstructing what what key it is in, and like if it's an upbeat section, having another upbeat section following that doesn't make a lot of sense. So
Yeah,
like
for sure.
having some sort of like um, contrast. So like
Yeah,
it was like very straight. So like after that, I had like a verse section which was actually inspired by Amber Moon. You know how
oh,
you have the
really?
dun 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 para para Da-re, no, no. So like
Yeah.
my section sounds like ba kita kitare,
Yeah.
kitara kitara, ba kita kitare,
Oh, that's cool.
para 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 re. So that was inspired by Amber Moon, by the way.
Oh.
I don't know why I never told you this, but hey, there's like a secret thing that yes, I was
Oh,
actually
thank
inspired
you.
by Amber Moon because I didn't want to like I could have just stole that part, but actually I could have copied the part, but I stole
Yeah.
the idea of that part from you.
Hey,
And
I
that's
love
how I
that.
write
Like,
a lot of my stuff. Like, you have no idea how much I rip off Jordy, and not even Jordy knows how much I rip him off. Because like
hey,
I do it the smart
Geordie.
way. We rip you off a lot, bro. You don't know that.
So do I.
But that's the cool thing, right?
Yeah.
Like taking something that's already existing, but then adding our own flavor to that. I
Of
think
course.
around 2022ish when you started to write more riffs, it
Yeah.
sounds a lot like Monuments, but it doesn't sound like Monuments, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because that's kind of when I was really getting into Monuments.
See,
Um,
that's what I mean.
but I think it is a bit of a mix of that and intervals.
Intervals. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's where it's coming from, that kind of
Yeah.
style. But then there's also so many influences in it now, like Clayton, like he's so sick. Um, and so I've been trying to copy his kind of riff ideas and his styles, and it's just
Yeah.
there's so many people now that just add to it, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I might do something similar or
I see.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I would agree. Like, there's like a lot of great people to be inspired from, like just from riffs perspective, and like even for lead personally, because when I started out, I think we both would agree on that intervals and Pliny were like the
Yeah.
like the biggest people. Like
Yeah, for
we would
sure.
wanna be like that, and I mean, I think we both are like almost every so often being allegedly being Pliny number two. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
So
Well,
like,
I
how do you?
showed I showed my fiance a new song I've been writing the other day. Well, it's an old song, but I'm setting it up for my next release. And the last section is it kicked in. She's like, "You sound just like Pliny." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
That means it's
That's what I was
good.
going for. Yeah,
Yeah, but I'll be honest though, like sometimes when I write solos, and it literally doesn't sound like Pliny at all, but still people say that it sounds like Pliny. Well, I didn't know Pliny had a solo on this song and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
it's cool. I mean, I would any day take a Pliny compliment, but like just being put into that category like straight up and not being like, hey, this
yeah,
sounds like Prey. I mean, I would like to shout out Jordy for that, because he told me once that I don't know what you're doing, but like when I hear your articulations, I know that it's you playing, and that's a big one for me, because like
I have noticed you've got really clear articulations, so I can
thank
see
you,
where
man.
it's coming from with that.
Thank you. I would say I would like to thank Sean Ash, Andre Neary, and Per Nilsson, and people like them who have and even Pierre Daniel for that matter,
Yeah, he's
because the
sick.
way he uses hybrid picking is like so natural in my opinion, that
Yeah,
I would like to want to be doing those kinds of like flutters, and like semitone, like going back and coming back on that single fret, and
yeah,
like sliding in and stuff like that.
yeah.
And that's what I am being inspired by these days. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's been a lot. I haven't actually listened to a lot of new music lately, so I've kind of just been inspired by the same music, but just with different ears. Now that
I
I'm on
see.
Instagram more, I kind of focus on different things, whereas we've talked about plenty so much, so I'll just bring them up again. But like with Kind, like I used to always listen to the lead parts, but now I'm listening to the rhythm parts and the bass and the drums and like
Yep.
yeah. So I'm listening to the same song, but I'm listening with different ears, and I think that's where
Perspective.
my yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where my inspirations come from now. Is like I see things in a different way than
Right.
I used to.
I think I have like a reason why, because like when probably few years before now, like we both probably wanted to be like great lead players,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think we might not be great, but we are good than what we used to be, and
Yeah,
that's like a good threshold that hey, we good with where we are. We could obviously do a lot better, but I don't think it's worth focusing on the lead thing a lot more. So
yeah.
maybe if we get our arrangements, because I would be honest, Pliny is not the best lead player in the world.
No, I agree.
That's no surprise. Everybody knows that. But the
Yeah.
way he uses like his note choices, the way he arranges stuff, compensates for that. And that's I asked him a question on a Strandberg Q&A once, that how do I not go overboard with shredding? And he just said you don't have to if you don't want to. That was such a simple
It's so
advice.
true, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
you don't have to if you don't want to. So how do I not want to do that? By making my arrangements better. Like
Yeah.
if the song doesn't call for a shred part, how do I make the song not call for a shred part? Is like the
Exactly.
thing. And the way Pliny writes his music is like very A B C D section, and more of
Yeah.
like a flow thing than I would say like not a pop structure. But I mean it's very contrasting, because like my second best inspiration right now is Ollie Steele, and the way
Oh,
he writes is
yes.
like simply A section, B section, then go back to the A section, then go to B section, C section, and the song,
Yeah.
something like that. And Pliny's writing style is so much different. So like being able to decode what part is trying to tell in that song is so much more important. And I would agree. Like I'm hearing the same songs but with a different perspective like that too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a eye-opening thing. Like I heard I was listening to Billie Eilish,
Okay.
but like I heard things in there. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I could use that. Um, so like just finding influences in all different types of music is just,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best way to go.
And I think that's the way we have a great chance of doing something new, or
Yeah,
something that's not homogenized per se,
for
because
sure.
I would say since you brought Clayton up, and Clayton's a homie, so I would like to bring it up. He uses those EDM elements,
Yeah,
like in his riffs. Like it sounds like it's like a drop, an
yeah,
EDM drop, but with metal, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
for
So
sure.
you wouldn't do that if you didn't listen to stuff outside of metal. And I think what I have been getting into lately is like 2000s pop and synthwave.
Oh,
And
no.
there's a lot we could like learn from, like personally, if like somebody's struggling to write songs, I would suggest them write like a pop song with
Yeah.
guitar. And yeah, and
Sometimes
just add.
it's a good practice too as well. Like
Right.
every now and then I'll just like write a beat just for fun, like not even pick up a guitar. Just do it all samples, synths, bass, whatever, and just yeah, just write a beat and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good practice, because that that makes you want to think from an arranger point of view and not
Yeah.
from a guitar player point of view. Because one mistake that I used to do earlier was in every of my mixes or anything, the lead guitar would be the loudest.
Yeah.
Because hey, I'm a guitar player, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
want people to
Hey,
hear my guitars.
we gotta we gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, but that's definitely like not the way every single time. Like there has to be um, moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
And in an
yeah,
arrangement sort of aspect, if it's always at that one level, it doesn't make it exciting as well.
right, right, yeah. There are no
Yeah,
dynamics, right?
exactly. So
Yeah,
if it can still be there, but if it's low in the mix and then you want it to pop in a certain section, it'll hit harder.
correct.
Yeah,
Have you heard the song "Run Away with Me" by Carly Rae Jepsen?
I probably have.
Because
Um,
yeah, so when you hear it next time, just pay attention. The entire song is a little quieter, but when the chorus comes in, it peaks the highest. And
yeah,
I think what they probably meant with that was like, hey, chorus is like the best part of the song, so we would like you to hear it with more excitement. And I
Yeah,
think that's similar to what you just mentioned.
definitely.
But yeah, speaking of arrangements, do you have some ideas or ways that helped you better your arrangements?
Um, in terms of if I'm trying to make it feel weird and odd time signature or um
Syncopated.
not yeah, syncopated or not 4/4, it can still be in 4/4, but you can offset the so instead of doing 4 bars of 4/4, you do 5 bars of 4/4 or 3 bars of 4/4. And if you use drum patterns that kind of don't align on the first beat all the time, it'll feel like it's in oh shit. It'll feel like it's in a different time signature when it's just 4/4.
Right. Yeah, I
And
mean, fair.
yeah, it's something simple. It's something I've been messing around with a bit, but yeah, in terms of like structures and stuff, I guess I just think about um
Where do you
what
want
I
to go from that part?
sorry.
Where do you want to go from that specific part in the song?
Yeah, exactly. And like sometimes you might be in a groove section or just after a solo, and maybe it doesn't feel good to go to a chorus. Maybe it feels good to drop out, or maybe it feels good to just keep grooving for a bit.
I
And
see.
it's
So
just
it's I would assume it's 75% intuition and feel and
yeah,
25% theory of writing.
yeah, I think so. And like sometimes I'll try and say I've got 60% of a song like structured out, and there's just like one section missing. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Um, I'll either try and write something new, use something I've already got. If that doesn't work, I'll maybe just even get rid of it completely and just be like, it's a shorter song now.
Okay, I see.
Because there's no point adding something if it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, true. I mean, I used to have that problem that hey, I have this sick part and I want to make it work in a song, but
Yeah,
it might just not work. So then what do you do with that? So what I would do is I would take the idea and probably use it somewhere else.
yeah. And I do the same thing. Like I usually keep my projects are weird. Like sometimes I've got like sections off to the side and they're just all like in their blocks and like not in the actual song, but they're like, oh, I might use that if an opportunity
Alternate
comes up.
versions.
Yeah,
But I know you use Ableton and I do too. But what happens with me, the main big issue of doing that is when I export, it exports that those parts too, right?
yes.
So how
So
do you not do that?
I gotta select the like the section that I want to export. So I highlight everything.
Shoot,
Um,
that
and
sounds like a
then
bit tedious, right? If you have like 60 plus tracks.
yeah, it can be sometimes. I just go right to the top, scroll right to the top, and like all the way to the left, and I just drag from the top left to the bottom right. And
Okay.
if you go over the master, it'll just include everything.
Oh, I didn't know that the master trick.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
yeah, it'll just include everything in that.
yeah, man. That's a big one for me. I'm gonna use that from now because like I
Yeah.
had to like delete those stuff, export, and then Control Z back so that it stays there. And then,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
that's stressful.
Yeah, yeah,
That's so
exactly. Because you
stressful.
don't know, and I mean, there's no way to like save an instance of a song. So like in
Yeah.
programming and stuff, like you would have like versions of softwares that you could
Yeah.
save, and if like the newest version doesn't work, you could go back and like go to a more stable version. I wish there was some setting like that in Adobe that you could do something like that. That would be so much easier. You could have so much
Yeah.
liberty of doing stuff like that.
Oh, it'd be so nice.
Right?
But we don't have that luxury, do we?
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
one thing I find very great about Ableton is that um doing quintuplets and stuff that's not like normal subdivisions is so much easier compared to
yeah.
other DAWs.
How do you do it? Because I haven't figured out an easy way to do it.
Okay, so what do you do is you take a MIDI bar,
Yeah.
and let's just say if I want to add a quintuplet, what I would do is I would make 6 notes, and then I would select all of them, and in the piano roll you'll get like those two things like that
Yeah.
on top of them. You just drag it into the 4/4 bar. So what it will do
Oh,
is it will
okay.
take the 5 and it will fit it in the 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I'll start using that then.
Yeah, that was a big one for me as well.
Yeah, because that stopped me from like messing with like odd meter
Tuplets.
stuff. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, try it out. I mean, it will be like a big one, I would assume.
Nice. Yeah.
And one other thing that I personally wanted to, like, even get on a call with you before was the way you set up ambience and atmosphere in your songs. So, like,
Yes.
how do you do that, man?
um, it's just a lot of layering. So a lot of the ambience comes from my leads, and I'll usually do one left, one right, and then like a higher or a harmony left and right
Okay.
as well. And then so it'll probably be um sustained leads playing like a melody or whatever. And then I might even have like a trem picking thing in there as well. But it's circumstantial. Like sometimes that doesn't sound good, and then sometimes I use piano or synths or even like violins or something to fill up that space if I feel like it needs it.
Right. So, for example, if I have like a melody, like you'd probably add an octave and probably a harmony in thirds or something like that to fill out the space, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah, most
Okay.
likely.
Okay. And what reverb do you use?
Archetype plenty.
Oh, really? For everything? Even
Most
for
of the time,
even for things that are not guitar centric?
yeah,
Shit.
yeah, I use it for everything.
I've recently found this one plugin called Raum, Raum. It's probably by Plugin Alliance. I'm not too sure, but what it
Yeah,
does, like as a reverb, it like adds a lot of, um, I would say, shimmery stuff, and
nice.
it's like an alternative. Have you used Crystallizer from Sound Toys?
No,
You
I
should
had a
check out
try out
those
for
two
Sound
plugins.
Toys once, but I didn't use it actually.
Those two plugins are really really good for, like, echoey ambient sort of things.
Yeah,
And I don't have the crystallizer thing right now with me, but the Realm plugin is quite amazing. I would say, like, it gets you that invent animate style of ambient leads to an extent,
yeah,
so that's
nice.
nice.
It's nice. Something I have actually been using, which I forgot about before, was JST Skybox.
Okay,
Yeah, and
that's a good plugin.
it's got nice features in it. I really like it. I probably use
And
it more for drums though, than
okay,
guitar.
so probably on a snare,
Yeah,
like a plate reverb on a snare or something like that.
yeah,
I see. Okay, and generally with reverb, it gets harder to control if it has a lot of low end to it and stuff. So, like, is there some things that you keep in mind while using a lot of reverb and a lot of tracks?
yeah, for sure. If I'm quickly writing, I don't pay attention to it too much. But when I'm like going back and like neatening it up, a lot of my EQ moves I usually uh
A low
like
cut.
cut out. Yeah, low cut to about like 200 or maybe
Okay,
a bit higher, and it
I
just
see.
cleans it up. It's not too noticeable in a mix either. So
Right. And what about the high end? Do you keep it or?
it depends. If it's really harsh, I will just do like a high shelf and just kind of drop it because I still want that high end there, but I don't want it to be.
In that
Um,
frequency?
yeah, no, I don't want it to be too intense. So I just drop it a little bit, and yeah, usually pick out some of the problem frequencies because sometimes they
Right.
can get quite massive.
I see.
Yeah.
And okay, that's fair. Um, what one more thing that I've noticed is, you don't just play guitar, like you play bass, you play drums as well, right?
There's drum kit
So
behind me now.
yeah, yeah, obviously. But so, like, did you start all of that, like, while you were playing guitar, or did that come later?
Yeah, so drums is from I wasn't allowed to play guitar in the high school music program to start off with through year 7 to 9 because we did orchestra. So I was like,
Okay.
the next coolest thing is drums. So I'm going to play the drums, of course. So yeah, picked them up. And then I started really like getting involved with it. And a lot of the high school music we did after the orchestra was jazz stuff. So I was on drums for that as well.
I
Um,
see.
yeah. And then bass, I didn't even pick up one until 2019.
Damn.
Yes, because I was like, I want to, like, that was when I was like, I want to record music now.
Right.
What do I need to know? And I was like, I need to know how to play bass. So I was like, okay,
Fair.
I'll learn how to play bass then.
Would you say, like, having some sort of idea of how to play those two other instruments help you in your arrangement and making it sound like it's not programmed to an extent?
Yeah, I think definitely keeping drums and bass in mind, because I don't always want the bass to sync perfectly with the guitar,
Right.
because then it just sounds like a big riff. And
Fair.
whereas, like, if you listen to intervals or plenty, like the bass is always doing something interesting as well.
Right.
And I feel like that adds another element. Same with the drums, like it adds another element when it's not just your standard standard parts following the guitar part. It's sort of its own thing that's kind of like it's supporting the guitars more than just playing with them.
Guitars supporting, like, yeah, it's not the other way around, if that
Yeah,
makes, yeah, fair. Because that's the thing, right? I think what makes Pliny intervals, even Josh de la Victoria, like, so awesome is they have like real actual crazy elite level
yeah,
drummers with them. Like,
sure.
I wouldn't say, like, they don't help a lot in the way how they want to make it sound, but definitely, like, those small articulations, like, probably, like, having ghost notes in places that we wouldn't, or like probably,
Yeah,
perceiving a rhythm a different way than how a guitar player would, really helps. And I personally don't have an access to a drum kit, so what I
yeah,
did was like, binge Drumio's entire channel and
yeah, for
see
sure.
how certain drummers did certain things or played certain fills, or I didn't even know all the symbols, like,
Yeah.
and I was like, the one that sounds psh or the one that sounds kiss. I
Yeah.
but when to use a psh and when to use a kiss, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
probably when you have like a clean section, you wouldn't go with a crash, because that would just, like,
No,
disrupt the entire section. Perhaps
for sure.
you'd probably go with like a hi-hat
Yeah,
or like an
hi-hat
open
or a
hi-hat.
ride or a
Yeah,
bell
or
or
right. And then
yeah.
when you want to get from like that section and you want to lead into a chorus, you'd probably change from like a closed hi-hat to an open hi-hat, indicating that the sound is getting a lot more open. And by the
Yeah.
time, like, the chorus rolls around, you would have like your crashes and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and what I used to not do earlier was like have two crashes, or like two, like, open cymbals on like the first hit, because like
Yeah.
that opens up the sound so much, right?
Yeah, it
I wouldn't do that earlier, and I would just have one cymbal. But then I noticed that, hey, these drummers are playing like two cymbals at once, so why can't I do that too?
Yeah, I think sometimes like when you are programming it, you kind of forget that oh yeah, drummers actually do have two hands. And they can play two
Yes,
things at the same time and they got 2 feet. So like I feel like a lot of people kind of forget that you can stomp a hi-hat and make it sound like someone's
right,
hitting.
right,
So that's kind of another element. So you could have two hands going, a stomp on the hi-hat as well if you want more energy, and then the kick doing something else.
correct.
Obviously, if you wanted someone to play that, they'd be like, "Fuck you."
But you
But
could
like,
play that.
but you could, someone could play that.
Correct. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
agree. And yeah, just keeping in mind of, like, um another main thing that I used to do was like, because I didn't have, like, I started to get my mixes sounding a tiny bit better in 2023, because I learned about mastering. Hey, But
Yeah.
before that, I didn't know anything, so I just wanted to make everything sound like, on the dot on everything. But then I would see that, hey, not everybody is programming every accent of their riff with the drum kicks. And I did, like, I'm about to do a cover with Carlos of Arms
Oh
of
yeah.
Sorrow, and one thing that I noticed from that song is that the riff that is in five,
Yeah.
the drum is only playing on, like, the first five is the kick, and the second bar of 5/4 is the snare, and everything in between is like empty. It's just the guitars doing its guitar things. If
Yeah.
I, like, my past effort program it, I would have like the snares on every third beat, like 1 2 3 4
Yeah.
5 1 2 3 4 5. But like that's the thing, right? That makes it obvious, and you wouldn't want your odd times to sound obvious, is what is my philosophy, right?
Yeah, for
Because if
sure.
I hear every person plays 7/8 or 7/4, like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3,
Yeah.
there's no fun in that, right?
And leaving space with odd time signatures, it it makes it harder to tell that there's odd time signatures going on.
Right, yeah, probably, like, what might give away is like the symbols
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, I mean, even like you could do something weird with that as well,
Yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
maybe keep the symbols in 4/4 and have
Yeah.
something like, going in odd time below, like Meshuggah or Tigran Hamasyan for that matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, like there's so much you can do with it, and like the possibilities are endless. Like you could just leave all of the space and only hit like say you're doing something in like 7/4 or something. You could hit something on the one beat and then something like in the middle somewhere, and
right.
that's it. And then people are like, "What's going on?" But
Yep.
as long as there's some sort of like flow with it and it works with the other instruments, like people will be able to pick up on that flow, and then it doesn't sound so weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. And yeah, I mean, that's what even I try to do, is like make odd time signatures sound as normal as possible,
Yeah,
and make normal time signatures like 4/4 6/8 sound as odd as possible. But like that's
it's
not
funny
like
you
the
say
only thing
that.
that I do, but that's what makes it fun, because, like, I
Yeah,
think, somebody mentioned what time signature that is, and I'm like, it's 4/4,
4/4.
bro, but I'm playing it syncopated. That's why you feel like I'm playing it odd, but everything's in 4/4. Like, even sometimes I perceive odd times as 4/4. So, like, I would have a thing in 7 going, but my click would be
Yeah,
in 4.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's funny you say that because that's been my like longest goal in music. Is like
Hell yeah.
I want to make people think I'm playing something in a different time signature when it's just 4/4.
Yeah, and that's what's fun. I mean, that's what Pliny does it too.
Yeah, he does. He does it so much.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I like, because one thing that I have some criticism for our genre is, like, people fixating on the technicality so much that they forget the intention of that part. So, for example, if I
Absolutely.
have a part in odd time, I shouldn't praise that part just because it's in odd time. It should have something to say
Exactly.
too, right? Yeah.
I
So
love that.
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's the thing. That's why, like, the more you might not remember it, but in, like, earlier, way earlier, I asked you that, hey, I'm new to the prog genre, like, how do I make things sound odd? I'll show you a message after our call
Oh
ends,
yes,
but
please.
and then you told me that just listen to a lot of things that sound that way, and you'll probably get an idea. And that's what I did, and that's what made me realize that, okay, this there is a recurring pattern, and I don't want to follow
Yeah.
that pattern. I want to do something that's a little bit different, that's a little bit more fresh. And yeah, that makes you hooked, like,
Yeah.
because now it's really second nature for me to pick up odd time signatures. Like, it's at the back of my, because I've heard a lot of them, so I don't want that.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And something I've used in terms of odd time signatures, like tricks, is I'll have like my my basic phrase, whether it's like a in 4/4 or whatever, but it's like over a couple bars, and then when
Okay.
the phrase ends, I can just extend it for as long as I want and just let it ring out until I'm ready to go into it again. So it's
Oh,
just
okay.
extending the ending. But yeah, just extending the ending until like, and that extension can be as long as or as short as you want. Like
Right.
it doesn't matter.
That's a really like a DAW oriented songwriting tip, I would say.
Mm.
So that makes me wonder, like, do you ever use like a DAW as a reference for coming up with like grooves or coming up with rhythmic ideas? Because sometimes I fail to like perceive certain rhythms like in my head, so I use a DAW to like
Yeah,
give me ideas.
yeah, definitely. I'd say a little bit of my writing is visual, where I can actually see what's where, and like if I want a riff to sync up with the kick drum, I will. When I'm tracking, I'll watch the kick drum and be like, okay,
Okay,
that's when I need to hit it. Like I watch the MIDI on my screen and be like,
right.
that's where the notes are at.
Bro, then you must have some really low latency for that to happen. Because if I were to do that, I would 10 out of 10 miss the downbeat.
Yeah. That's if I have to, I'll export a rough demo track and the MIDI, and I'll just put the MIDI above so I can see it, and then I can record it as low as possible. But
I
if it's
see.
a full mix, I've got no chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Fair.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean using DAWs to like and using plugins to come up with parts and ideas,
yeah,
and like just seeing if it works or not. It's like a really because I know a few people that have the entire song structure in their head, like
yeah,
ready. They know how they want it to sound, and that's awesome. But I can't do that. I
yeah.
mean,
Me either.
I like to surprise myself sometimes because there's this the chill part in 25 hours. I wrote that by using the Malian groove pack from GGD. I
Oh yeah,
just found like a groove that was like super like fitting to that song, and I just like took the kick drums and like copy pasted it as bass parts so that everything sounds very tight,
yeah.
and then I just had like a solo over like a verse 2 over that part, and that's how I wrote it
Nice.
because like I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I would
Yeah,
use those kind of grooves and stuff as placeholders, like just to inspire myself. And one thing that I like doing the most while making demos is I know a few people like just add drums, guitars, and bass and make it a demo, but I would personally go like 2 3 steps further and add production and like make it into like a Instagrammable riff or
yeah.
like Instagrammable part, just so that I can inspire myself more to write that part next. Do you do something similar?
Oh, 100%. Most of my full songs come out of an Instagram demo because I put all my effort into making that 1 minute as good as I can. And then it's like, well, that's a third of a song or that's a fourth of a song. Like if I write a new section, I can use
Right.
another section and then like it it's mostly done.
I see. Yeah, that's fair because like, and also you get some sort of like um, if that's something that you take into equation, like the reception from people about that particular thing,
Yeah,
that would wanna. I think whether you like it or not, subconsciously that has an effect on everyone.
definitely.
So yeah, if people are saying this is sick, then you would feel like hell yeah. I mean, that's reassuring, and then you would wanna finish that stuff more.
Definitely. Yeah.
And
One
yeah,
thing I've got like the quick riff Fridays that I'm doing. Um those are very much the opposite where I put as little effort into it as possible and just write the riff. And then it's more of a technique builder for me where it's not something I would probably use in a song, although some of them have gone really well and people like them, but it's like I don't know if I would use it. I like it. Maybe it wouldn't be a main
right.
section in a song.
Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, I mean, having some sort of like practice writing also
Yeah,
helps because like if you just write when you're inspired, then it's harder to inspire yourself. You know what I mean?
exactly. But
So
yeah,
yeah.
the intention of those videos are just to, keep my technique uh as good as I can have it.
Yeah. And a question pertaining to that I have for you is like recently I've seen like your videos, the quality of your videos have gone like super high. I mean, you were always like the one having three multicam footage for Instagrams and stuff, but like for somebody who just uses a phone, like and
Yeah.
I personally like struggle with getting the angles right. What advice would you give me?
Um, a good camera does help, but you don't need it. It's just nice to have. I think the lighting is the most important thing.
Okay,
Um, and yeah, just making sure that the viewer can see your guitar and what your fingers are doing. If you're going for a one angle thing, um, like a lot of my recent ones, just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, just making sure that like the viewer can see everything that you're doing, because I know I've in the past done something where you can't quite see what my finger's doing and people are like, hey, what are you actually playing? Like I can't see.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, I think that's what people look for. But in terms of like aesthetics, like I don't know, just I think your videos have a nice aesthetic. Like it's super warm and like vintage,
Thank you.
and it's just nice and soothing.
Ah, man,
So I
that's
yeah, it looks really nice.
yeah. Your videos, like one thing that I like like recently I'm digging is like the daylight. Like you're using natural light more
Yeah.
than soft lights, and because like yeah, I mean I would in the future if I have, because like right now outside my window there's another building, so I don't get
Oh
a lot more sunlight as much as I want to for filming a daylight video. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's
for
why
sure.
I always try to like film at night. And yeah, I mean the one complaint I have with everything is that I don't like vertical, man. I mean I would
I
happily go
don't
back
like it
to
either.
1:1 ratio, having
In
or
yeah,
maybe like 16:9, like having go full horizontal back.
yeah, it makes things so much harder to record, especially in a small room. Because like I do have a small room, like it's tiny, so I have to use wider lenses. Um,
I see.
but and I can't fit a softbox in here. That's usually why I don't have it.
Okay,
Um, even though I've actually, yeah, I do really enjoy the natural light, especially with these blinds. It's like in the perfect spot for
that's
like
perfect. That's nice.
it's just perfectly placed. And yeah, I got so many lamps in here, like it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think I am a big lighting guy. But honestly, like if you just set up in a in front of your desk and just present the desk nice and maybe have a I always like shooting into the corner of my room because there's a lot more going on
Okay.
visually. So just avoid blank walls. Um, try and get some nice lighting. Hey, it's okay.
Okay,
No,
that's
it does look nice. I was looking at your video when we started, and I was like, I like it. Like the lighting is really nice.
thank you, man. Actually, you know what, we have a new member on the podcast who's helping me with the graphics and like the aesthetic of the podcast, within branding and stuff. His name is Manav. What he told me was that I have like a main light over here and I have like a ring light over here. He
Yeah,
told me that I should probably try and get like everything in like a similar temperature spectrum, so
yeah,
that
for
it
sure.
doesn't look too odd. Because like if I would have this light at a more higher temperature or like more white per se, it would give like a very weird contrast. But since it's like similar to what I have in the background, it would be easier to set even the white balance for
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
and it would just give like a good aesthetic overall. And another thing that I did was I got like a free like a 5-second footage of 35 grains online.
Oh
So like
yes,
I've been putting it at like a 30% opacity in my videos, so that
yeah,
it has that grainy texture to it, because
yeah.
I don't have like a film camera or anything, so like I try
Yeah,
to replicate that with that.
yeah. That makes me excited because I used to do that all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I used to do it all the time. And I'm so happy you actually said that because like it's such a simple thing and like it just doesn't take much effort. Like
Yeah,
anyone can
man.
do it. And then
I,
you've
I
got
would I would actually put out down a link for like a free download thing, so that people can
definitely,
get that 35 millimeter thing. But yeah, that being said, another aspect that I really enjoy about your music is like the mixing. I think
Really, I think
one
I'm so
thing,
bad at mixing.
bro, not at all. I mean, have you seen your mixwave riff?
Thank you.
That was sick as hell. I mean, I would love to get that loudness and that punchiness in my mixes. And one thing I really like, want, like I'm inspired by you, is like, to an extent, like, I would any day have anyone like Ritik or Sinha on my mix, because like it would be like a final release, and I know for a fact that I can't make my songs sound the way they can. But
Yeah,
for at least for Instagram purposes, like being more brand friendly, if I could mix my demos a little better, that would be nice. So, are there any like go-to plugins in your arsenal that you use all the time that gives you like guaranteed results?
yeah. In terms of master, like I use Submission Audio's Flatline on
Okay.
everything.
And what does it
Um,
do? I have never used it personally, so I would like to know.
so it's like your final limiter,
Okay.
like your mastering limiter. It's got a couple extra features, but um, I don't know. It just works, and it's like super smooth, and it doesn't like distort too crazy. Like you can push it pretty hard before it starts like crackling and being weird on you.
I
There's
see.
also a couple dither options, which kind of help for Instagram's purposes. It crushes your audio to a 16-bit rate,
Okay.
and because that's what I'm pretty
Instagram.
sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Instagram crushes it to that anyway. So if you do it before, it just comes out a bit cleaner.
Yeah. And one other thing that I picked up was like, uh, especially for an iPhone, or like when you record 4K footage, if you export it at anything above 25 megabytes per second, the Instagram will try to like weird out some of the like colors in your
Yeah,
reel. I mean, once you press upload and when you get like a preview, that's when it happens. So like if you exported anything below 25 megabytes per second, it would work fine. And I just
yeah.
got to know about this recently, and it like changed my thing.
Yeah, for sure. I knew about it for a while, and that's kind of why, like, I shoot 4K for most of my videos, but I always export 1080p
Yeah, that makes
because,
sense because Instagram's gonna compress it anyway, so it's better
yeah,
that we do it before going inside that. And yeah, so
yeah.
okay, flatline too. What else?
Flatline, it's got to be the Waves CLA 76 compressor.
That's a opto compressor, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Um, that that's like my go-to compressor for everything, whether it's like a snare drum, a kick drum, rhythm guitars. If you want something that's like really subtle, you can do pretty much everything on it. So that's probably my go-to compressor. I also use the Waves. Forgot what it's called.
The
R
EQ?
bass. I don't use AQ. I use
Oh,
Fab
R
Filter.
bass.
Yeah, R bass.
Yeah, that adds the subs quite well, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So that's another key one that I always use on. I use it on the bass and kick, but the bass is kind of set a little bit higher than the kick.
I see.
Yeah, and it kind of just depends on the feel. Like sometimes that doesn't work, and sometimes it works great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been blowing up this year, so I'm happy about that.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
had
because
a
like
yeah.
you've always been posted. I mean, I would say like you've probably taken a few breaks here and there, but that was like for your own, like headspace and stuff. But
Yeah,
apart from that, you
last
have
year was
always
kind
been
of
posting.
rough, not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
A lot happened, so I couldn't really post because I wasn't at home a lot. Um, getting into a new relationship, and which I love
Job?
my relationship. Not job, but because I was still living with my mum, and all of my previous videos were in the garage there, which is great, but it got messy really easily because it was a shared space,
I see. Yeah,
and
that's fair.
yeah, and it just kind of killed my motivation to do stuff in there because it's just like when I'm recording, all I see is mess behind the camera, and it's like it's not enjoyable.
Yeah, man. Yeah, That's why
yeah,
I record all of my videos after my folks have gone to sleep at night. So like
yeah,
I have like no disturbance or like anyone at knocking, like just opening my door and saying
yeah,
that, hey, we have this thing, you have to do this, yeah, stuff like
yeah,
that.
for sure.
So
And
that's
our
good.
freezer was in the garage as well, so
Okay.
whenever I'd be recording, someone just come in, grab something in the freezer, go back out, close the door, come back in, put the thing back in the freezer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
uh,
that would definitely put you off guard when you're recording.
for sure. And like when you're in it, like I feel like when you're in it and you're properly in it, that's when you perform the best. And when you're
Absolutely.
taken out of it, like you kind of, yeah, you kind of just lose it. And it's like, now I just got to kind of get back there, but it's a bit harder now.
Right. So
Yeah,
one thing that used to happen with me was like I was very afraid of taking breaks because I used to feel like Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man 2, that if I don't be Spider-Man for long enough, I might lose my powers. Something similar
yeah.
to that. So like what were the good aspects of you taking a break from Instagram and like things in general like that?
Yeah, it definitely. I think I felt burnt out after Amber Moon, um, and I was trying to stay consistent and keep posting, but like I didn't have any passion, so I feel like my content kind of suffered a bit. Um, but that's okay, and so I think I needed that break to kind of like reset myself and be like, what do I actually want to do with Instagram? Like, what do I actually want to do with music? And yeah, it was a full reset for me. And I come back with the Nocturnal Bass demo. I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I just want to have fun and just like write the stupidest riffs possible.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And
Yeah,
that's fire. That's actually great. Like, I mean, I would agree. Like, everyone from our friend group would say that like your riffs have been like leveled up a lot.
thanks.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
And is there like a thing that helped you boost your viewership or anything like that by a little, like one thing that you started doing and it made more people view your stuff?
The main one that I did not too long ago, probably around March, was post at 9:30 to 10 o'clock, like consistently.
In the morning.
Like no, at night for me. So I don't
Okay.
know what time's that for you.
4.5 hours, so like 5:30. Yeah, so like evening.
Yeah, but yeah, for me that I think that got me the best outcome in terms of reach, and so I've just stuck with it, and it works really well for me. I think everyone has a different upload time that's ideal for them, just based on their following. So you kind of got to mess around with that
Yeah,
until something
fair.
sticks.
I mean, I'm like very conflicted because half of my, like more than half, I would say 70-75% of the people that watch me are from outside of India.
Yeah,
And so like have no idea, so like I just post at around a time where I know for a fact that everyone's awake and probably will be looking at the phone. So that would be around 11:30 your time, so like, or
yeah,
7 to 6 p.m. my time, because that's when everyone's out from their job or like office and like on the way, and they would like probably be on their phones, and there's
yeah.
more likely chance that they're going to see my reel on their feed.
Yeah, for sure. And 11 for me would probably be a more ideal time, but I can't stay awake that late.
Yeah, and probably you'll have work in the morning as well, right?
Yeah, I usually work. Lately, I've been doing 5 o'clock starts, so that's great. But normally it's 7 o'clock, so I usually am in bed by 11.
Yeah, I see. So, like, would
Yeah.
you say like your job allows you to have some time for you to do music, or like does it get stressful?
That's a good point. It's always been a struggle for me to balance work, family, and music, but I think right now the balance has been super good.
That's
Just because
nice.
like
That's nice to hear.
yeah, like I finish work around 3:30 most days, sometimes a bit later, and then I've got a couple of hours to do music before Emily comes home, and then we spend the night together, and it's like rinse and repeat. So I get everything, everything that I could want out of
a day.
Yeah, out of a day, and it just works.
That's nice, man. I hope you can sustain it for a very, very long time. Cause
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I was put in a situation where I didn't get to do music for 3 days, and I legitimately got
it kills you,
bummed out.
doesn't it?
Yep. And I mean, for the people that we have surrounded ourselves with, like every single one, like there's no way you can survive or like sustain without getting better,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's kind of toxic if I put it that way. That you have to get better, 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 better. But
yeah,
it's
for
like in a
sure.
good way. They like the environment and the things that happen on a daily basis are so that you can't help but pick up your guitar, and you can't
Yeah,
help but write more music.
for sure. Because like if you have all day every day, you probably only pick it up for 2 hours anyway.
Right.
Like unless you're in a really intense writing session or whatever. But on a general day, if you don't work or all you do is play music, like eventually you're gonna get sick of it.
Absolutely. That's what happened with me. So then I started transcribing and then like actively trying to sit down and just practice stuff.
Yeah,
And yeah, my technique got more dialed in and I started getting more ideas which were like, very different from what I would play
yeah,
normally just because of
nice.
transcribing. So yeah, transcribing is a big one for me. I would never I mean, if there's a point in time in my life where things are so hard that I could not make music, I can't play guitar for more than 30 minutes, I would probably just transcribe other
Yeah,
people's music because like that would help me be on toes with everything, technique and ear training and stuff like that.
yeah, I love that. And like having another musical outlet for people who love music like us is is so good. Like I know for me now that I've started dabbling with singing, I wouldn't say I'm a singer. I would say I'm good at singing,
A
but
budding singer.
sorry,
A budding singer.
yeah, a budding singer. Yeah, whenever I'm at work, if I'm by myself, I'll hum ideas or riffs or like write stuff in my head and be like, "Oh, that's cool." By the time I get home, I forget it. But like it keeps me entertained during the day, and
I see.
I think that's why I get through the days a bit easier is because like I've got something to occupy my mind musically wise.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, and I'm also like kind of jealous of the whole Australian scene to an extent because like you guys are first very good. Second, like you could go like probably in 2 hours you would reach to Dylan's place or Josh's place. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, how 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 was it meeting those guys? First of all,
Oh, it was so good. I met them both at the Plenty gig. And it was super crowded and I was getting no reception, but they told me they're at the mixing desk and I was up the front for Sungazer. And I was like, screw this, I'm not staying up the front. I want to go see him. So I went up there, met them, and then got my spot in like right in front of Plenty again. And yeah, it was so good. It was so good to meet them. I wish I could have spent more with them that night. But meeting Josh properly as well in Melbourne for just a little catch up, like that was so fun.
yeah. Have you guys been cooking?
We have been cooking,
Hell yeah, that's
and we're
that's
we're gonna
awesome.
keep cooking.
Yeah, I mean that's the way. I mean, if you are a chef, you have to cook and you have to
Yeah,
feed others and you have to feed yourself too. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
next time
that's that's
next
all
time you
right.
see us together, we'll both be wearing chef hats, and we'll be cooking up some good stuff.
Yeah, can't wait for that, man. And yeah, I mean, it's been 1 hour 20 minutes. I mean, it didn't feel like that, you know.
No, it went so
I
by
know.
so quick.
Yeah, I mean, I came into this like just having a chat because I've never really talked to you, and it's like you're
No,
so soft spoken, man. I mean, I don't know what to say.
thank you.
It's very nice. It's very nice. But
Yeah,
yeah. Do you have anything to say regarding anything?
no, I'm very happy I could be on your podcast, and more so, I'm very happy that I could have a chat with you finally. Not face to face, but
Likewise.
close enough.
Yeah, man.
It's been really great, and yeah, I've been wanting to do stuff like this forever, but I think my anxiety about like social situations has just kind of gotten in the way a bit.
So what do you think about this? How do you think this went?
So good. I
Oh,
loved
I'm
it.
glad.
I've
I'm
been so
glad.
excited like all week.
Me too,
I've been
man.
like, oh, counting down the hours. Like,
Yeah. Same. More so because this is the season 3 finale. Like
yes.
we're gonna reset from season 4. There's gonna be something different that's gonna happen, and I
Oh
wanted
wow.
this personally to be like the most chill episode of the entire season because we had Jake Howsam and we had Ollie before you. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no point of being like super stressful about getting the most like hey, I would like to ask Hayden about everything that he can provide value with. No, bro. I wanna see what Hayden has to say
thank
about
you. I
stuff.
appreciate that.
So yeah, I'm glad. And well, one thing that I would like to point out is that when I saw you, Winnie, Vincent McDonald, Connor, who goes by the name Natsukashi
Yes.
for people,
Yeah.
when I saw you three guys in 2021, like because that time I was like the cover guy. I wanted to play the fastest stuff. I want to play the most technical stuff, and I never even thought about making my own music. But then I saw you guys, and then I saw that hey, it's actually possible to do
Yeah.
stuff on your own and make your own music. And like
For
I
sure.
was never even sure about that idea, but it was thanks to you guys that I got into that mindset and I started shifting away from the cover stuff and the entire cover scene because like it's good, it's great, it helps you build chops, but I don't want to do it. I want to write my own stuff. I want to know people for who I am. Like since I have like a name
Yeah.
Prey, why do you have your name Hados? Does that have a significance?
Yeah. It's a school nickname that I got when I was in year 7.
Oh,
I guess people thought it fit for me, and it's stuck around. Like even my workmates at Coles, Coles Armstrong Creek, they call me Hados as well.
hell
So
yeah,
it's kind of stuck. Yeah, but I
that's
like it.
nice.
I think it's a cool name. And yeah, it's. I think it has more identity than just Hayden.
For
Whereas,
for sure, for sure.
yeah,
That's why even I changed because like you wanna have that thing. I know for a fact that a lot of people think that your real name's Hados
yeah, some
on the
people do.
internet. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, man. I know that you have an announcement to make about something.
Oh,
So would you
yes, I've
like to
got.
tell people about that?
I do. I have a song coming out, and it's called Daisy. It's very beautiful and flowery and bright and vibrant. Pre-save it.
I think
Pre-save
by
it.
the time this episode rolls around, it will already be out. So if you could
Oh,
just give like some
just
idea,
listen to it.
what had you in mind while you were writing that song?
I don't know. I wrote it 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that I
Yeah,
wrote a song just so that I could be on your podcast, which was hilarious.
yeah. Uh, and
Here we are.
I pulled through on that comment, and it's happened, and now we're here.
That's totally insane. I mean, you guys should better check it out because like you wrote it for
Yeah.
just to be on the podcast apparently.
Hey, I
That's
did this for you guys. Um, no, I think at the time, actually, I can give you some insight on the writing of it. The project was called Lock and Animus, like Animus.
Is that like a Harry Potter thing?
No, so Interval's song Lock and Key and
Ah,
Monument's song
Animus.
Animus.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So like a
and I was
hybrid.
like, it sounded like a hybrid. Like the main riff sound like, to me, it sounded like a hybrid between those two songs. And I was like, eh, whatever.
I see.
So
Okay.
that's all I can remember of writing that song. But
But
hopefully
yeah.
it's something.
So yeah, Daisy by
Daisy, yeah.
Hados is gonna be out everywhere by the time the episode rolls around.
Yes.
And do you have any parting advice or things that you want to let people know? Could be anything.
I would like to say if you love what you're doing, that's the most important thing, and you should keep doing it. If some days you're not feeling it, it's fine. Don't push it, because that's when burnout happens, and that's when you lose your passion. And in something creative like this, passion is everything. And if you don't have it, then what's the point of doing it? So keep it nice and breezy, keep it fun. Um, just keep living your best life and have fun.